Hello Facebook. Before we begin, I want to give a big thank you to a good friend of mine, Paul, who is substitute teaching for me today. I'm feeling quite under the weather, so instead of going and sharing my illness, I'm sitting in front of the computer making these videos for you. Now for the next couple seconds, the camera's going to wiggle a little bit because that's me incessantly inviting everyone I'm capable of inviting on my friends list. So if you're bothered by this, you can send me a message and say, please don't invite me. I will be deeply offended. I will be hurt. And if you care about my feelings at all, you won't do that. And instead, you'll tune in to this wonderful investment advice I'm about to give all of you. Because I think you guys have been sleeping on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for too long. I was telling people last year, I remember Bob Holloman will attest to this, when Bitcoin was at $350 a coin, I was telling people, buy this stuff, $350 a coin, it's going up to almost $1,300. Now I don't feel like doing some quick math in my head, but needless to say, that's profit. So if you think this stuff is a joke, it's time you better recognize. Now in this video, we are going to take a look at LBC. I call it LBC because it makes me think of Snoop Dogg. Now, this video is purely about speculative investing. I don't know much about LBC. I don't know about the development team, the project, or anything like that. We are going to simply be doing analysis of graphs and trends and seeing if we can find some indicators. I apologize for the wiggling. We are still inviting. If anyone knows a way to invite all your friends simultaneously, that would be fantastic, because otherwise I am just wiggling and scrolling. You might also be wondering why I don't use software to video the screen. I have that, but it tends to run so slowly that there's a huge delay. The audio is often choppy, and quite frankly, this is a better way to do it. So, okay, now that we're stabilized, now that we have the graph we want to look at, let's talk about it. This is LBC, and right now I really wish I had Snoop Dogg narrating this because it would just be so much better. But needless to say, if I take you guys back over to the LBC graph on Poloniex, when it came onto the exchange, it had this just ridiculously inflated value. And this is because the original project managers who mined it and had it, came on the exchange and they dumped it out for as much as they could get it for, as much as they could get. So all this doesn't really mean too much to me. This is just LBC getting onto the exchange and getting part of the action. I know that's not a real technical term, but I'm not a real technical guy. Now this crash continued to about this point here. You see a bit of a I guess sort of like a dead cat bounce. But it really just continued to dwindle all the way down to like this point here. And so this plateau, after the original dump from here, this plateau, in my mind, is kind of the established bottom for LBC. This is the exchange going, all right, we're not going to let this get too much lower. You know, it's, again, not super technical terms, but I am not a technical guy. So we're going to go back over to Pixelmator. Now, a professional would be using some type of software trading view, but I got Pixelmator. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw the two most important trend lines in this graph. The first one is the initial bull trend the bottom of the initial bull trend. I'm just going to draw it for you. I'll explain what it is later. Basically, it's a line that connects the low points, and I'm not drawing that at the right spot to begin with. I need glasses. Okay, so there's this little pump here. There's my spot right there. Okay, it represents the lowest point of the buy-ins as they correspond to that bull trend. So like right here, here. Now, this right here, major pump. I'm going to draw another line. It's going to look confusing for a second, but when I explain to you why I'm drawing it, it's going to make sense, okay? So if you look real closely here, and I'm not sure if I can't really magnify this, so take my word for it. There is a mini little pump right here, mini. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a line and we're going to draw it, and we're going to completely disregard this very quick pump and subsequent correction. And you see this here? That was your LBC, I guess, trying to gain some traction after the negative, all right? This little stuff right here, what effectively, just for the visual aid, makes a sort of a goofy little triangle. This is all speculation. These are the short-term speculators who are throwing the price of this around. Now, if you're a day trader, go ahead. This kind of thing matters. But if you're trying to hold this for a few weeks to a month, which in cryptocurrency is actually a pretty long time, you're not as concerned with these mini bumps and subsequent corrections, because look at this. If we take into account the lowest part of the main buy support, even with this pump and correction, look at where the second pump came. You see what I'm saying? So when you get these lines like this, sometimes you can get little indicators. And if you zoom in on this little area right here, you'll be able to see, based on the little ramp up before the pump, that it establishes a line similar to the one I drew. Now, that is not what we're most concerned about, though, because clearly there is another trend here that has sent the price crashing back down. Because if this bull trend would have continued, we would see LBC shooting off in this direction inside of those lines or whatever. So what kind of sell pressure is in this market that's making it do this? So let me take a quick look at the LBC2 graph, because it's a little more zoomed in. I'm going to keep them both open for a second, because here's the first graph. The second graph is basically this point right here to here. You understand? So this point here at the top to here. We're going to analyze the most recent bear market and try to predict whether or not we think we're going to see a reversal. So let's just expand this out for the heck of it. So scoot it over so you guys can see it. All right. Now, the main little pump here and then crash here, LBC, I'm going to draw my vertical trends first because I see a few trends here. The rapid crash ended in this area. You understand? That's the rapid crash, and it, is boom. That's very, very quick. If that sort of thing continued, just to show you what I mean, if that sort of rapid crash continued, you'd be worthless in early February. So clearly there was some sort of different trend that established itself. So now, what's next? We see steady bull market. Little peaks here could mean a little bit of an accumulation, whatever it could be. But steady bear trend up until this point right here. So let's draw another line. We'll talk about why we're drawing that line there in 1 second. We just got to get it out there so you guys can get the visual. There. Good. And then it wiggled around. It had more volatility. If you can see, I know it's hard to see, but there's indications that there's more play in the price. Lots of trading going on there. So now we got this little ramp up and down and dip. This is what I'm going to draw one more line here, and this is my hopeful line. I'm not certain that this even needs to be a trend line yet. This is just my hope, and you'll see why. So the first thing, what the heck? I don't want that there. Can we delete that? That'll work. Okay. So now what we got to do is draw the most important trend lines here. We're going to disregard this area over here because clearly that rapid crash has ended. So let's draw the bottom of the bear trend, also known as like the accumulation phase, where like people like George Soros like to grab it and then keep it and sell it in a bear market or whatever that speculative ass does. Okay, there's that line right there, connecting to all the bottom parts. We're just going to take it all the way down to nothing. Okay. Now clearly that trend is reversed, because if it didn't, you would have LBC being worth zilch. Something happened here. Let's take, just to help you guys visualize what the positives of this recent bear trend look like, minus these kind of little bumps here. Oh, gee, that was the trading range right there. I'll even peek it up. Disregarding these very, very momentary quick buy-ins and sellouts, that was your trading range for LBC during the bear trend. So what has happened though? Because my argument, and the reason why I think LBC is going to be bullish over the next few days, is that this bear trend is reversing into a plateau. So let me show you what I mean. Now take my third little trend section. Let's connect the bottom points of all of them. Am I getting down there for all of them there? All right. Now, I will... Dang it, I hate this software. I really, really need better software. But my point is that that line there, and I know you guys can see it, is much more horizontal. And it shows me that, one, when this bear trend ended, we noticed that there was a nice little pump. It came back down and tested it. It went back up. It trickled back down. It tested it. It came back up, and it's above that point. From a purely speculative point of view, I could see this becoming bullish right now. And so now let me show you what the bullish prediction would be. So to do that, just bear with me, guys, for a second. I know we're live, but we need to go back over to Poloniex and figure out which freaking chart I want to show you guys. But that I don't know which one I want to show you. Is it this one? Maybe it's the 2 weeker. Yeah, the 2 week chart. This will work. And rather than taking the time to get you back into Pixelmator, I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way, where I just put stuff in front of the screen, because it just really demonstrates the idea very quickly. All right, we had the plateau phase established by this type of thing going on, right? And we saw that in the other graph. And I know you're watching. I know you know what I'm talking about. Now, right here, that's where that trend ends. Now look at that pattern right there. Okay? I know there's a lot of speculative rushes above it. I'm not concerned with that. Look at the low points, and even that very quick correction right there, that little spot. Let's zoom in on that a little more so you can really understand what I'm talking about. Okay, this is the 4-day chart. So right here where that crosshair is, that's the low point from the plateau, and now we're on the bull trend. So you know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to do another screenshot, and we're going to analyze short-term bull trends, because you know what? I'm kind of getting into it. Screenshot it, Pixelmator, open. Come on now. 309, I think that'll do it. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to analyze the short-term bull trend. So first we're going to draw a vertical line to represent the end of the plateau phase and the new okay, people keep texting me, and I appreciate it. I'll get back to you, I promise. But right now, we're doing live videos. Now, inside of this bull phase, and I still think this is very bullish here, there are several different trends. But before we start drawing those lines, we're going to draw the fundamental buy support. See what I'm saying? Fundamental buy support. To here. And then there was, the correction, so the buy support there. I'm gonna draw another trend line right here, because this is tough though. This is tough, and this is the difficulty of the short-term trading, because there is so much volatility in it that. Okay, I think what we need to do is factor in timetables. Okay. Let's draw this line out as far as it'll go. Guys, I'm going to be quiet for a second while I kind of gather my thoughts and draw these lines. Just stay tuned. I promise it won't take me too long here. Close enough. No, it's not close enough. Once I get the lines drawn, it'll be a lot easier to explain, because, like you're thinking of where to draw the lines at the same time, Anyway. absolutely. I hate this software. I hate it. Perfect. I got the lines deleted. Now I know what I want to do. Now I know what I want to do. Jeremy Volkman, man, are you still playing chess, or are you going to start getting into speculative investing with me? I mean, they're both fun, don't get me wrong, you know? All right. Now that we got all our fun lines drawn, we're going to analyze this recent 2-day bull trend with LBC. So, what do we got going on? Bottom line is the bottom line you're seeing here is the lowest buy support during this bull trend. Every time it's come down and it's tried to test this point, be it in a little attempt right here where it got kind of close, be it an attempt here or here, it never has pushed through it. So we can speculate that there is a good amount of support at this level, and given the way that the buy-in kind of points correspond, it establishes a line here. Now, from a speculative point of view, if LBC breaks below this line, that's when it could be time to get out. Or if you got a real lot of nerve, you might buy it at that point, but that's a big risk. I typically, if it gets below this line, I admit I made a mistake and I sell at that point. Now, these two lines here, this line right there, you watch my cursor, okay? That's the way you're going to tell what I'm talking about. This line here and this line here represent the first wave of the bull trend. So notice we're connecting the low points of the buy-ins before this little, I guess, temporary bear trend. What I need to do is draw some more vertical lines to really give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. All right. Trend there. And trend there. Okay. So, despite this looking bullish for the most part, and boy, this would be great if I had like different color lines and all kinds of fancy stuff, inside of this bull rush, there was a bear trend, which basically, for lack of perfect graph drawing, like I just mixed my words together, there was a bear trend right in there. You see that? But that bear trend seems to have corrected. Notice another pattern that I've talked about in videos before, the brief bounce back followed by the subsequent crash to, what's that point there? What's that point? What's that point? Tell me what it is, because I just told you. Okay, I'm not drawing that line right, so let me get another line here. But low point of that recent bear trend, and then pump, bump, right back to the plateau, and now look at how bullish it's become. And we're talking like in the last 30 minutes. And look at the peak there. So, I am quite excited about LBC. I think from a speculative point of view, the fact that it has touched this, the bottom buy support for a second time, that's going to increase the volume, because a lot of the longer term traders and the guys with more money, that's when they're going to start jumping in. That's when they're going to get excited, and you're going to see the speculation really go crazy. The other good thing about LBC is I don't think there's too many, I don't know, maybe there are a lot of bag holders left. I really can't speak on that. I could be totally wrong. But definitely liking this trend, and I made a video yesterday, and I bought in at about like 1480, and then a little more at 1520, and right now we were sitting at 1600. Let's go back to Poloniex, because I want to talk about where strategically I would have my sell points. Because you never just want to like take a guess. You want to kind of take profits as they come. Because I'm not the only person doing this. There are a lot of people that stare at these graphs all day. So if you look at this 1 month trend, see the top of this little pump here? Sort of corresponds to a recent plateau. So if I had bought in at this point where these crosshairs are, let me see if I can make this a little, if I can zoom in here for you guys just to really give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. If I buy in right here, using the logic I have where, okay, we've observed the bear trend, there's the double negative, and I buy in right here at 1432, you better believe that I'm going to start taking profits around 1500 due to this bit of volatility. What am I doing? Let me just zoom you guys in a little more. Right here, due to this volatility, and then I'm also going to take profits in the 1600 range because it corresponds to that. Now, if I'm doing this for a longer term hold, profits in the 18 to 19 range look pretty decent as they correspond to some of this right here. So what you want to do if you have the opportunity to buy in fairly low, like at this point here, if you got in below 1400, fantastic. You kind of want to look at where it's been before, find the plateaus, and my strategy is I stack my sell orders at the plateaus. So little plateau here, sell. Little plateau here, sell. Little plateau here, sell. Longer term, sell. Now, is it going to work every time? No. It's just my strategy. Has it worked for me? Indeed it has. I've made some money doing this, and I hope you guys can make some money too.